Kenya, is it how does is it easier getting capital for banks? Uh, is it perhaps through investors and things like that? Ah, okay.
That is, yeah,
Tough.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a problem I'm actually trying to solve in Kenya, because getting capital from banks, they tell you there's SME banking, and we can
Hmm.
give startups capital. But when you go to the bank, the list of requirements, one of the things they tell you is have a turnover, of probably a revenue of 10 million, and you're just starting out, so you're wondering where you're going to get that kind of evidence from, that you've been doing business for 3 to 4 years and you've been making this kind of money. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the lending systems in Kenya only favor the established businesses,
Mm.
and that is why we've seen a rise in a lot of mobile loans being given out to SMEs. We actually have our president recently launched a fund called the Hustler Fund,
Hmm.
which gives small loans that you can actually, grow your credit score and get
Hmm.
more as you move along. And then we also have like a few government SME funds here and there. We have the Women Enterprise Fund. We have the Uwezo Fund, which is for the youth. But at the end of the day, if you look at the banks, the microfinances, it's not easy, because you see, you also can't get as much capital as you want from the mobile loans, because you
Right.
have to build your credit score, right?
Yeah.
So
Welcome to the UMG podcast. I'm your host, Jerome Sheldon. As always, we have a beautiful show for you today. Now, if you're new to this channel, we ask you to please like and subscribe in the link below. So, without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the UMG podcast. Today, we have an amazing guest in the studio. She's an accomplished HR specialist with a robust background in human resource management. She possesses extensive expertise in recruitment, training, policy design, and change management. Her academic journey includes an MBA from the University of Nairobi, shaping her into a transformational leader adept at strategy, behavioral change, and talent development. She's renowned for fostering a remarkable corporate culture through mentorship and team leadership. and her track record encompasses significant achievements from revolutionizing the National Construction Authority workforce to spearheading service desk implementations. Leading her own thriving construction business, Minkoti Agency Limited, she's been awarded by the African Women Innovation and Entrepreneurship Forum, Lionesses of Africa, and more. She's the deputy country chairperson for AFC FTA Youth Advisory Council, the Kenya chapter, and also a dynamic member of several boards, including WBAF Global Women Leaders Committee. She's also the first country chair for the World Business Angel Investment Week of 2023. She's dedicated to driving positive change and business growth in Kenya and Africa. And last but not least, she's a dear friend of mine as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stacey Menga Onyango to the program.
Hi, Jerome. Hi, everyone. It's such an honor and it's a pleasure to have me on your platform. I'm hoping what we're going to share today, will be an inspiration to someone else, to the other young people, other ladies out there in both entrepreneurship and career. As my feet are in a bit of both as of now. And yeah, as introduced, I'm Stacey Menga. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been on this journey for 14 years now. I actually started a business long before I got into college. So my entrepreneurship journey has been longer than my career journey. And I have a background in HR, which I
Mhm.
am actively practicing. And yeah, I look forward to what this show has to bring on. So thank you
Oh,
very much for having me.
yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And it is an honor to have you here on the program with us today. So, as always, what we try to do is to, in addition to your intro, to be able to give our audience a little personal look at Stacy. Because we're trying to follow your journey up to this point, and hopefully, someone can be able to pick up some few things from the journey. So, I'm going to go back a little bit, and hopefully, you can remember some few things. Now, obviously, uh, I'm assuming that you are from Kenya. So you were born in Kenya. Now, what part of Kenya were you born in?
I was born in Nairobi.
Oh, okay. And
Born
that's
and
the
yeah,
capital.
born and raised
Uh,
in Nairobi.
okay.
However, I studied in different parts of the country. So I did my primary level in Kisumu, and I did my high school level in Nakuru, and then my university education in Nairobi.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So your family. Now, are you from a big family or a small family?
I'm from a very small family. We
Hmm.
are a family of two. However, it's unfortunate that we lost both our parents at a young age. I lost my
Mm.
dad when I was 5 years old, and my younger brother was only 9 months old. And I lost my mom in 2017. So from then on, I've had to be the mom and carry the mantle of mommyhood in the family. However, we were raised as an extended family. We lived with many of our cousins and aunties. So I would say I come from a very tiny family, but then again, I'm a part of a very big family because we grew up in so much love that
Mm.
we do literally everything together.
Mm. Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
Yeah.
So sorry to hear that about about your family.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
And again, maybe perhaps I can see that too, with your career, which we're going to get into later on, because I can see how the drive you having, because you said you're put in the position at an
you.
early age too, to be able to, carry the touch, so to speak, of the family, and that kind of spilled out into your career. All right,
Hmm.
so let's go back into. I always go to high school. So how
Okay.
was Stacy like in high school?
Rebellious. I know, like, I walk around as this disciplined young lady, but I was absolutely rebellious in high school. I think about that journey, and perhaps it shaped me and molded me into who I am today. But it's interesting. It's interesting because at some point, I didn't like the school I was in because it was a military school.
Hmm.
Uh, yes, so I went to school in Moi Forces Academy, which is basically an extension of the military camp in Nakuru,
Hmm.
and it was quite difficult to adjust my life there. So at some point when I was in Form One, I
Hmm.
think I was part of the team that led a strike.
Hmm.
Just to leave school because we wanted some changes from there. However, after of course sitting down with my mom, and she was like, Stacey, you're gonna take yourself years back and you don't have that time. Time lost is not like money lost. You can recover money, you can never recover time. So you just need to settle down and get into your studies. And from there it just was a smooth sail.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a wise advice from your
Uh-huh.
mother. But I can really see you being, you know, what would you say, rebellious?
Leaving us yes,
Oh my
yes.
goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're glad that you came out of that phase. Now,
Thank God.
obviously,
Thank God.
sometimes
Mhm.
rebellious is something that is good if it's done in a constructive way. Sometimes
Yeah.
trying to go against the usual what people say the norm and things like
Mhm.
that. Now, is that where perhaps you can say your entrepreneurial you know spirit comes from, trying to go against the norm, so to speak?
Absolutely, absolutely. I've loved a challenge from a very young age, actually.
Hmm.
And one thing about me, I think before I even knew it was called mentorship, I was always under the mentorship of my mom. So everywhere she would go, I would shadow her, I would follow her around. And every time she'd be having conversations with her friends who are in business, who are in career, I'd listen in keenly. And then sometimes when we get home and I'd tell her, don't you think this person complaining about this would do this to make it better? So my journey in entrepreneurship and my love for entrepreneurship started at a very young age, actually long before high school. I always knew I would get into business. The career path just came along the way, but my passion was to always get into business. And eventually I'll transition fully into business.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. And so then you left high school, and of course you went over to college. So how was
Yeah.
college life? Did you carry that rebellious attitude in
I wish I did not experience the normal college life everyone experiences. In
Mhm.
fact, I hear everyone's stories about university and college, and I'm like, I missed out on that because after high school, I got into a somewhat serious relationship. And my focus was more on just studies and the relationship and not the fun aspect of college. So I missed out on quite a lot. I didn't even have friends in college, and I regret not having that experience. But I mean, here we are, life must go on.
Right.
So yeah, so I did my undergraduate, then stayed home for some time before getting a job, and then of course I was still doing business while I was getting employed. I got in at a lower level, of course, just to gain the experience. But yeah, it was quite a journey, and from then it's just been an upward journey, and I thank God for that.
Yes. Okay. That sounds
Yeah.
really good. Okay. So now we learn a little bit about your background and how things work for you on the academic side of things. So now we're going to pivot, move a little bit into your career, which you have
Mhm.
been doing some excellent work in that area. Now, you mentioned here in your bio, National Construction Authority. How did that come about? How did you get involved with that company?
Okay, so I got in as a graduate trainee. This was just 2 years after I graduated school.
Mhm.
So I got in as a graduate trainee, and of course, from there, it's just been hard work, dedication, growing myself. I'm one person that believes growth doesn't stop at a certain point. So every year you meet me, in fact, my friends keep complaining. They say you study too much. Every year you meet me, I'm doing something different. It's either a professional course or just furthering my studies into or diversifying anything I want to read, depending on what phase of my life I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I got into National Construction Authority in 2014, and
Mm-hmm.
I have since been promoted twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's also been a journey there that I thank God, because the kind of exposure I got there, it was a different environment altogether, because I had never, you know, been or known anything about the construction industry. So I got to learn a lot about the construction industry, and that's actually what motivated me to diversify my business into construction.
Yes, absolutely. Because that's what I was thinking about earlier too. I was like,
Yeah.
now, I was like, okay, how did she get into construction? What was the interest in construction? But like you said, you came in at a lower stage of it,
Mhm.
entry level, and over time, you're able to develop the skills and things that you
Yeah.
had there. Okay, and so with those skills and stuff, hence I guess you founded the Minkoti. Am I saying it
Min
right? Minkoti.
Minkoti was founded in 2009. I was barely in university then. So
Oh,
Minkoti was doing something entirely different then.
mm-hmm. Tell us about
yeah,
that.
I only yeah, I only came to diversify. So I initially started just doing general supplies. I would supply printers, I would supply computers to government offices, to private offices. But over time, I became a bit redundant, and it got a bit boring. And I was like, I need a challenge. I need to do something absolutely challenging for me, dive into deeper waters. So in 2018, after being around many contractors, developers, I developed an interest in construction, and I was like, why not? Let me just try this. Because I actually got to learn that you do not need to be an engineer or have like a technical background to be in construction. So
Right.
you can give a HR professional a hammer, and they can get into construction and actually employ the people that need to do the construction. So yeah, that's why we are where we are now.
Oh, okay. So let's
Yeah.
let's kind of go back to that journey because that was a
Uh-huh.
pivotal point for you starting that business. So take us through that journey with it. You first started. Of course, I know it's always a challenge, starting business in Africa. Well, business anywhere for that matter. But
Yeah.
you being a female, that's one thing, and then starting a construction, company. How did you go through that process of getting it started?
A young female at that. A young female at that, because I got into construction when I was only 30 years old. So
Hmm.
of course, and construction, ideally there's this stereotype that it's for giants, just people in. But I
Right.
said, I'm going to start small and just
Hmm.
do something,
Hmm.
then evaluate what I have done, and then see if I can do something better. So it's been a continuous learning process. I started by doing carrying out waterworks, which is just construction of boreholes and water pans and all that.
Hmm.
But again, I get bored easily, so I was like, I need to do something,
Hmm.
something more challenging. Then I got into roadworks, and I got to learn more about that, and then I got into building construction. So now I can do literally any construction. You can call me today and tell me you need a high-rise building, and I'll actually do it for you.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Mhm.
so what were some of the I would say the early challenges for you in starting the business? What are some?
Well, starting the business wasn't an issue per se, because
Hmm.
registration is in Kenya has been made a lot easier, because our government recently put in place the Huduma centers, which
Hmm.
are like one-stop shops for services in the country. So
Right.
basically, you can walk into a Huduma center and get business registration services. You can get birth certificate services, any service in government. You can get it like in one place. Yeah. So
Hmm.
registration and setting up the business wasn't really difficult. The difficult part was getting the business, because
Mm.
construction again is done by the big wigs. So of course you have to have had a name for yourself before you walk into any government office and say, because I mostly do government tenders. So you have to walk into a government office, and tell them, yes, I'm capable, I have the machinery, because they evaluate you based on a number of things. Do you have the capital? Do you have the machinery? Do you have the equipment? Do
Hmm.
you have the required technical staff needed to carry out these works? So proving yourself was the difficult part, because I was only a newbie in business. But I guess it only takes one person to give you a chance for your work to speak for itself.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. That's nice. That's nice. And of course, you were able to grow up with the business. So, what would you say perhaps would be some of the strategy that you use to be able to? Now, you mentioned earlier you started. I think you were selling. What was it? I think you were
Supplying. I was
supplies.
supplying
Right.
mostly, mostly ICT equipment.
Right. And then
Yeah.
eventually you kind of move up to other things. So
Hmm.
now, obviously, finance is a huge part that plays in starting a business. So how were you able to secure financing? Did you go through the banking system or personal loans or your own savings? How did you do that part with the financing?
Family and friends. My mom was my first angel investor. So
Okay.
yeah, she's always believed in me. So and it's not like the journey has been smooth all the way. The very first capital I asked her for was 500,000 Kenyan shillings, which is roughly
Yeah.
$5,000.
Okay.
um yeah, and I lost all that money, but that didn't stop her from believing in me. So I thank God for that, and at some point she started building up a savings account for me, because she always told me, she really pushed me into entrepreneurship. She said, Stacey, I've heard you speak about business from the time you were young, and I believe you're going to get somewhere with this. So I'm just going to put my investment in you. So as we moved forward, the more business you get, the bigger the business, you need more capital, of course. So I thank God also for my social capital, because I have friends I can walk up to who also believe in me, and tell them, just I need this amount of money to do this business. And of course, this is in it for you. Some actually just give you like in kind, and then you can just give it back, when you're done.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm most of my capital has been from family and friends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So now, of course, in Kenya, is it how does is it easier getting capital for banks? Uh, is it perhaps to investors and things like that? Ah, okay.
That is, yeah,
Tough.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a problem I'm actually trying to solve in Kenya, because getting capital from banks, they tell you there's SME banking, and we can
Hmm.
give startups capital. But when you go to the bank, the list of requirements, one of the things they tell you is have a turnover, of probably a revenue of 10 million. And you're just starting out, so you're wondering where you're going to get that kind of evidence from, that you've been doing business for 3 to 4 years and you've been making this kind of money. It's absolutely ridiculous. So the lending systems in Kenya only favor the established businesses,
Hmm.
and that is why we've seen a rise in a lot of mobile loans being given out to SMEs. We actually have our president recently launched a fund called the Hustler Fund,
Hmm.
which gives small loans that you can actually, grow your credit score and get more
Hmm.
as you move along. And then we also have like a few SME government SME funds here and there. We have the Women Enterprise Fund. We have the Uwezo Fund, which is for the youth. But at the end of the day, if you look at the banks, the microfinances, it's not easy, because you see, you also can't get as much capital as you want from the mobile loans, because you
Right.
have to build your credit score, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes time to do that, and you need a capital. You need this much capital for your business at this point. You can't also keep borrowing from different mobile platforms. You
Hmm.
go to the bank, and probably just also the security that they ask for. They ask you for land, for um what's this called, the car logbooks.
Hmm.
So it's hectic, and it's
Yeah.
it's a problem I'm really really trying to solve here for SMEs, because I can see the struggle. I have seen it, and I'm
Hmm.
lucky that I was employed, and my employer, had some form of arrangement with a bank. So access to credit is not difficult, because we negotiated a much lower rate than what the market rate is. So I could easily access this finance, but thinking about someone who doesn't have access to employment as a guarantor, an employer as a guarantor, it's
Hmm.
it's really difficult to access finance here. It really
Yeah,
is. Mm-hmm.
it certainly is, and that's not only just Kenya because it's the same thing too in Liberia,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that's one of the programs that I have there with trying to uh, assist young entrepreneurs. Mainly on the know-how part of
Mm-hmm.
things. Because sometimes, yeah, finance, as we talk about, the most normal reaction is going to the bank.
Yeah.
But if you really think about it, the customers are your finance.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes if you focus on giving the customer a good service, what they need, helping them to solve some problem that they have, that's where you can get the finance from. And those
Yeah.
finance does not come with interest. You don't have to pay
I
back.
know that.
you
Yeah.
know, you know. So we try. So I try to help, these young entrepreneurs with the
Mm-hmm.
know-how. Focus on your business. Focus on what you are doing. What sets you apart. Those things. Develop your professionalism. To be able to then get finance to from. Of course, startup finance is always needed in there too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good thing. Okay, and I'm glad that you are working on some of those things. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about services that Minkoti agency provides.
Also, aside from construction, we also offer labor. We actually supply labor.
Mm,
Yeah. So one of our biggest projects was when we were constructing the standard gauge railway, which was one of Kenya's biggest infrastructure projects. So of course that was contracted to a Chinese, but one of the requirements of foreign companies working in Kenya or getting some work in Kenya is that they should allocate at least 30% of the work to local contractors or suppliers. So I got a contract with them and I got to supply them with actually more than 200 laborers. It was a
mm.
contract that ran for about 2 years. And yeah, that's more or less what we do. It's as it now, our specialty is supply of labor and carrying out construction.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. That's good. And so those labors, you take us through the process of how do you gather them? Is it based on skills? Do you do some training with them, so to speak? How did that process work?
We don't carry out training, but
Mm,
it's based on skills because masonry skills are specialized skills, plumbing skills are specialized skills. So you have to get them based on skills. And the one thing about Kenya is that you have to look for local laborers at the place of construction. So you can't go transfer labor from a different place to come and bring them to, you know, the place
mm-hmm.
of. So every time there's a project, if the project is in a different town, I cannot leave with laborers from Nairobi to the other town. What I do is I go to that other town, I get maybe an engineer or a foreman who's actually familiar with the area, and then they go ahead and then gather laborers with the necessary skills. And now it's easier because we have accreditation from the TVET institutions, we have accreditation of laborers from national construction authorities. So it's also easy
Mm.
to just have like a database of who you can need at what point.
Yes, that's what I'm about to ask you too. Are you
Yeah.
linking up with institutions, to
Mm-hmm.
help you in that process? And that's an excellent concept,
Yeah.
because the same thing in Liberia we have skills. I mean, I've seen some of the works that some of these people do. They have the skills, you know, but in most cases, they really don't get what they're worth. I don't know if you find that same situation in Kenya. People will go do work because the person knows you, but then because you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that representation behind
Yeah.
you, they tend to just give you, uh, you know, maybe whatever they think they can give you, you know. But that's
Mm-hmm.
good that you have that program, that structure. So when people come through your program and to be recommended, it's a lot more that they receive in the
Yeah.
process. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So how has that been working for you? How's that concept go?
It's going great. Well, apart from COVID hit us hard, of course, because construction has to be on site. So,
Right.
um, yeah, business dynamics changed after COVID, and yeah, we've done some business after that, but it's been really hard, and especially because the economy right now is just not favorable.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then with construction also, you can bid a job for this much, and then there's inflation after a few months, and then the
Mm.
prices of these products are, way higher than what you quoted. So it's just an up and down journey. It's been really difficult the past couple of years, but we pushed through. We pushed through because at least we have some provisions on the law, where according to our procurement laws, you can actually ask for variation in price if,
Mm-hmm.
supposing things get, like the prices get out of hand, out of control. You can get variation of price of up to 25%. So sometimes, you can at least just break even. Sometimes you can go into loss, but it's business. So
Yeah.
we move forward regardless. We move forward regardless.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So
Uh-huh.
were you guys impacted anyway, shape and form by the by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Oh, we did. Work had
Mm.
to stop. There was no work going on during COVID. Like
Mm.
we just for a while, and then I think it's very interesting because I was the first person to get COVID in my office, probably because I'm in the office and I'm also out on site in the field. So
Mm.
it was crazy, and we had to stop for a while, and it was a good thing because it also made me think outside the box.
Mm.
I had to think of other ways to make the business sustainable, so we had to diversify, and then I got to meet South Sudanese lady who was dealing in organic products, and she took me through the business, and she was like, why don't we partner and just bring organic products from Juba in Sudan, and then do some value addition and just distribute here in Kenya. So that also was the beginning of another business. It was the birth of another business. We thank God for that.
Yes. That's what I always
Yeah.
said. I always said the COVID, yes, it came, it disrupted things, but it took us
Yeah.
out of our comfort zone to make us to think on certain
Uh-huh.
things. You
Yes,
know.
it did. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So now obviously there was an award that you recently attended,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that's the I think it's the African Women
Amen.
Innovation Entrepreneur. How did that
Mm-hmm.
come about?
Well, I was on LinkedIn, and then I was just browsing through, and I saw nominations were open for this. And my friend was like, Stacey, why don't you just try and apply for these things? Because there was also a provision for self-nomination. Just
Hmm.
be as honest as possible. You see, the thing about businesses, and especially about young people, is they want to put up this facade that everything is rosy, even in business. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I think while I was sitting with her, and she was like, just be as honest as possible and speak to your challenges, just say everything you've been through in business, and you'll be surprised, because a good business journey is
Hmm.
one that is honest. You have to tell your true story. Yeah, so she started the application for me. And then at some point she was like, there's some details I don't have, so why not just give in these details, details like the revenue, my annual revenue, and things like that. So I sent it, but I really wasn't expecting anything. I just saw a congratulatory email.
Hmm.
And
Oh
I was
wow.
like, oh my goodness, yeah, we made it to the final list. So yeah, that's how that came about.
Oh, okay. Did you have to travel for that? I mean, did you have to?
I
Oh,
did. I
was that
did.
okay? Okay, because that was in Egypt, right? I think
Yeah, I
Cairo,
was in
Egypt.
Cairo.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. So how was that
Yeah.
experience for you? How was that experience for you?
It was good. I had an exhibition booth. Okay, I was a bit disappointed with the turnout.
Hmm.
I'm hoping the Rwanda event is going to be, a bigger turnout. Maybe it was because of the social media presence of the event. I don't know, but it was a bit disappointing. However, Cairo is very big on construction, so it was a plus for me because I got to meet engineers, I got to meet suppliers and manufacturers of like tiles, and just I made good networks there. So it was a win all in all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most people to try to take advantage of these social media outlets,
Hmm.
LinkedIn and things like that. Get yourself on those things because you can make some nice connections. You know,
Yeah.
you have to be actively on those sites too as well because there's so much
Hmm.
things that coming down, coming down the pipe. Okay, so how has social media enhanced your business, so to speak? How has that impacted your company?
Uh, it's weird because I have a my I think I have a page for Minkoti on LinkedIn, but
Okay.
it's not as active. It's not as active. I have a website as well, which I think my website does better than the social media because my nature of work may not necessarily be the best marketing strategy may not necessarily be social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most people can get from there is just pictures. But then again, I once was talking to someone about this, and they mentioned to me that Stacey, people download pictures from the internet. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not easy also to convince someone that this is your work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in construction, it's more of referrals
Mm-hmm.
because even with a website, you can download pictures and just literally post them there. But
Right.
for construction, I think it's more of just referrals. Just let your work speak for itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. Because I mean, like I said, seeing is believing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
once a person see it, and if you have a good customer, a
Yeah.
customer that is satisfied, they can give you a lot more referrals to when it
Yeah.
come to construction.
True.
Okay. So, what are some
Mm-hmm.
of your success story that you would say with uh, Mikoti?
With Minkoti, I would say they are word, of course. And then I take pride in the fact that I get to create so many job opportunities, especially during the supply of labor. I can tell you, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
HR. So during recruitment, what I see makes me cry, because we can advertise for like 3 posts and we receive
Mm-hmm.
like 5,000 applications. You don't even know what to do with that.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's crazy. And this is something I think as a continent we really need to work on, especially with the young people. And it's actually people who have like skills and the good education background. So just giving them a platform to do something, just for the experience, because a lot of times they are turned away because of experience. So just having the experience to say you worked here can make you a foreman or a supervisor in someone else's construction site. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I have done quite a lot in terms of creating job opportunities for young people in the
Mm-hmm.
construction sector. And um, just the fact that the business keeps birthing other businesses is
Mm-hmm.
something that really really blows my mind, because you can be sitting and you're like, I need to do something in this sector, but what's that going to take? Yeah, like I'll give an example. I'm now diving into creating businesses for my employees, where I'm partnering with a certain company that
Mm-hmm.
brings in painting machines.
Okay.
So what they do is, it's the painting machines actually reduce the turnaround time of the work that is to be done by a normal painter. So
Mm-hmm.
what we want to do is train our guys on site when they are working on site, and then I'll get the machines for them. Of course, then we agree on a payment plan. Then
Mm-hmm.
now they can go out and sell themselves because they will have some form of capital to go start their own thing. So the point is not to leave you to have you stay with me. The point
Mm-hmm.
is to have you go grow yourself, and then you can create opportunities for someone else.
Oh wow. Excellent. Yes, that's so yeah, that's commendable. That's real nice. Okay.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit again on your business. So And I would tell most people, a lot of time with the business, you start with something, but that you end up in a different place. Did you realize that? I mean, when you're starting for starting with Minkoti, maybe you had a
Yeah.
different concept in mind, and then now look where you at, and you're involving.
I, I really never, I didn't see it coming. I can say I didn't see it coming. But then again, the world is ever changing, there's emerging trends every other day. So I think as the world changes, you also have to change your mindset, because um, diversification, if there's anything we should all have learned from COVID, is
Mhm.
that we need to be up on our feet in terms of thinking on how to diversify other sources of income for or revenue for our businesses. So I didn't see it coming, and we thank God, despite the losses and all the issues that we faced during COVID, I really thank God that it opened up my mind to now just do other things, and also I'm also in consultancy. I don't know if I've mentioned that, where yeah, HR consulting mostly. We
Mhm.
do we do employer branding, and also we do training and capacity building for staff, not our
Mhm.
staff, but just staff in other companies.
Mhm.
So that is also something else that came about as a result of COVID. And now it's even easier because you don't even need to be there physically. You can just carry out a virtual training, and that's it, you know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So,
I know. I didn't know a whole lot about Zoom. I mean,
mhm,
I became a Zoom expert, you know, during
yeah.
during COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
but that was nice.
Uh-huh.
Learning those things. And I
Yeah.
asked that question about things involving because, like I tell most people, of course, you find something that you're passionate about, and
Mm-hmm.
you start doing that, and stick with it. Just keep your wheel turning because things will
Yeah.
come.
Mm-hmm.
Ideas will come down the line, or maybe somebody else may come down the line. So
Yeah.
what would you say about young people? Of course, somebody that in Kenya starting a business, the importance of partnership. What would you say to them about the importance of partnership?
Let me first give you a background
Okay.
of my business, because for years now I was the
Hmm.
sole director of my business. So I took on the risks alone, going out to look for the business alone. Of course I had people working for me, but then at some point in 2020 I realized really that is absolutely nothing you can do alone. It's
Hmm.
Partnerships are so important, whether it is for you or for someone else, honestly speaking. And young people tend to think it's a competition, but I
Hmm.
am now the biggest advocate for collaborations, because I'll give an example. I recently just connected with someone on LinkedIn, yeah, from
Hmm.
the executive chairman of Accelerate Africa.
Hmm.
Accelerate Africa, he's called Gilbert, Mr. Gilbert Oweme. And he said, Stacey, I'll for you when I come to Kenya because I like the work that you're doing down there. So he came, and at this point, he was like, could you, because I can see you have so much experience in business, I have this training and capacity building program. Would you care to come and, just speak a little about your journey to the young people? And so our relationship was built from that. Yeah. And
Hmm.
I am also, what I'm talking about in terms of empowering young people, I've also registered an institute, which is called the Institute of Entrepreneurship and Innovations Training. So basically, what we're going to do is that we don't just want to offer education, right?
Hmm.
Because I really believe, from my experience in HR and what I've seen in business, I really believe entrepreneurship is actually the only way to solve this unemployment issue.
Hmm.
So I registered this institute. We want to offer practical training, entrepreneurship training to people, and then offer them startup capital at the end of the course. So I asked Gilbert, well, because you also have experience in incubation, he also runs a microfinance. I was like, would you want to sit on my board? And he said, yes, sure, like
Mm-hmm.
I can bring something to the table. And the other day he reached out to me and he says, Stacey, I need a country coordinator for Accelerate Africa. Aside from inviting me to speak during the Accelerate Africa Summit in South Africa in November, would you accept helping me coordinate our activities in Kenya? And I said, why not? Because we are doing the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
but we are doing it in different ways. And I think we'll make more impact doing it together. So that's my advice to young people. The impact you achieve doing things together is much greater than something that you set out to do alone.
Yes, absolutely. That is so important,
Mm,
that collaboration. Because
mm,
you just don't know what, I always say it's like a puzzle.
yeah,
You don't have all the pieces to it, you
you
know.
actually don't. You don't. Yeah.
That's true. Someone else has it, they can come in and then you can be able to, line things up, especially if it line up well,
Hmm.
it benefits everybody. So
Yeah,
yes, that's good. Okay. So you are also part of WBAF. That's the World Business
I
Angel
am.
Investment Forum.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in there, you are part of the Global Women Leadership Committees, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how did you get involved with WBAF, if you don't mind me asking?
So this is part of the journey of the institute because, as I said, at the end of your program, as our entrepreneur,
Hmm.
upon graduation, we intend to offer startup capital,
Hmm.
either for equity or just low interest loans. So I ended up, because I've now been, of course, searching for forums where I can meet investors. Because for
Hmm.
this kind of fund, to set up this kind of fund, of course, you need heavy capital. So also networking just to see if there's anyone out there who has done anything like this and just learn more about investments for equity, angel investing. It was a new concept to me, and joining WBF has actually made me learn a lot about angel investing. And it's
Hmm.
something that also in Kenya, yes, a few people, mostly the techies and those guys in fintechs, of course, because they have to keep looking for investors, know about it. But there's all these other successful businesses or business ideas that people would actually need angel investors for, but they
Hmm.
do not know about angel investors. So joining that platform has made me learn a lot about angel investing, and I'm grateful to the chairman Babers, even for giving me the opportunity to be the country chair for the World Business Angel Investors Week, because I got to pull together key stakeholders from the private sector, the public sector, just from different sectors, and it was the platform. It was actually the platform where I kept reiterating that there's a need for collaboration, because the hugest amount of capital is in the private sector. The government can only offer opportunities, so we need to work together for a seamless integration of all these things, so that we can all achieve the economic independence that we're looking to achieve.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and WBAF is a nice forum,
Hmm.
amazing forum, as I'll put it that way. You know,
It
you meet
is.
you meet various people from different backgrounds. It's a nice place to network. You have
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, you have CEOs, you got founders, you got investors, all in the
Hmm.
same platform, and that's a huge part. And that's what we're talking about. The partnership, part of things. Okay,
Yeah.
and of course, you mentioned that it also enhance your knowledge too.
Mm.
In the business world. And congratulations, as you mentioned, being the first country chair. You know,
Thank you.
for the
Thank
business.
you.
Yeah, I was the
Thank you.
country chair too for Liberia. And
Liberia.
now did you find that the same as I did? Because when I came into WBAF, there was no one there from Liberia. Did you have someone in that forum from Nairobi, from Kenya?
I actually haven't. On the website, there's a lady
Mhm.
who's a high commissioner, but I have not heard of her. I haven't seen her. I haven't met her in any of the forums, in any of our meetings. So as it stands, I think I'm the only one currently
Yeah.
in Kenya. But it's a good platform even for networking, and I think people should leverage on opportunities, because met, well, including you, you know, like
Right.
brilliant,
Right.
brilliant people from different backgrounds, which has put a lot in perspective for me. So I think I would encourage people to join these kinds of forums.
Yes, I would too,
Mm.
especially those in Africa, to be a
Mm-hmm.
part of this. Yeah, because we need a lot more, into the forum. And of
Yeah,
course, this is one of the things that Bilba is,
yeah.
traveling now. Matter of fact, I think he just left Liberia and he heading over
Ah, did
to.
you get a chance to meet?
No, I didn't go on that trip with him, unfortunately. Yeah, but I
Okay,
spoke.
okay.
Yeah, I spoke with him, and he said he had a nice time on the trip. It
Uh-huh.
went well, mission accomplished, and he headed over to Ivory Coast. And of
To
course, I
where?
know the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay. Okay, Cote
Yes,
d'Ivoire. Uh-huh.
yeah, and I think after that he probably has like Togo, Benin, and I think Ghana. So he's moving on
Mm-hmm.
the west coast of Africa, trying to encourage those collaboration. You know,
Okay.
Uh, yeah. So yeah, okay. Well,
Okay.
Stacy, it was really, really, really nice having you on the podcast today. And of course, we mentioned to you that we have a popular segment of the
Uh-huh.
podcast that we
Yeah.
call the 5 for 5.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we ask you 5 questions, no pressure, and we'll get to see how rapidly you can respond to that question. So I'll
Okay.
let my producer here take us through, take us into the 5 for 5. Okay. So now we have your first question. Your favorite movie?
I'm not a big movie girl. I rarely ever watch anything
Oh yeah.
really, but yeah, I would say, oh my goodness, no, I have none in mind.
Oh, okay. So it's just work, work,
Yeah,
work all the time.
work, read, read articles. I mean, I'm not a TV or a movie person.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No problem. Okay. This one, I think you probably be able to tell us that one. Your favorite
Hmm.
food?
Fish.
Fish.
Yeah,
Now,
straight from the lake.
oh, which
I
fish?
come from
Which
that
one?
side of Kenya, tilapia.
Tilapia. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Uh-huh.
All right, fish. I think my wife loves fish at time to time, but she's more of a vegan person and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. So the next question here is your favorite vacation spot, not in Kenya.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Dubai.
Dubai.
Yeah.
Why Dubai?
It's just a vibe. I mean, I've been to Europe, I've been to the States, but there's just a vibe with Dubai. I love it. I could. Plus, I get a lot of inspiration when I'm there. Because it's looking at the history of Dubai and how it came to grow. There's
Yeah,
a lot of inspiration there. So it's really, really just. I would go there every year if I could. But
yeah,
yeah, that's my favorite spot.
yeah. It's an amazing place. They don't do things in a small way.
They do not, and I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is more of a preference.
Uh-huh.
Tea or coffee?
I'm an addict. I'm a totally addicted to coffee. Totally addicted. Four, at the very least, 4 cups a day.
Wow.
I'm actually trying to wean myself off coffee. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. So that caffeine, you
Yeah,
need that caffeine, huh?
I really do. I really do.
Oh, okay. All
Uh-huh.
right. Well, last but not least, and maybe perhaps on a much more serious note, your
Mhm.
last word for our audience, someone who is starting a business. What would you say?
Walk your journey. Do not try to compare yourself with an established entrepreneur. Their journey was totally different, and do not look at the rosy side of business and think there was no downside to it. So just walk your journey, learn your lessons, and absolutely seek mentorship. Mentorship is very important in business. It's good to get someone to hold your hand.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Stacey, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We uh, know that you have an amazing joining. We wish you the best in
Thank
what you were
you.
doing. Yes, hopefully we'll get you back on here again. Um, Hopefully next time be able to interact with our audience because that's another segment we're coming down with down the stretch. To
Mm-hmm.
have people ask questions and be able
Mm-hmm.
to engage with them as well too. So thank you so much. Keep up the good work in Kenya.
Thank you very much. And I think there was something else that you missed where I was supposed to recommend someone. I would definitely recommend you to reach out to Mr. Gilbert Eweme and just hear about the amazing work he's doing for the continent.
Absolutely.
Executive Chairman of Accelerate Africa.
Yes, most
Yes.
definitely. We'll
Okay.
certainly we'll certainly do that.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, to our audience, thank you so much for watching the program with us today. Hopefully, you were able to pick up something through the conversation that you can be able to add to your journey as well. And so, as always, we say jump, but don't jump too high because you have
Mhm.
class. We'll see you the next episode.